Hello there and welcome to Mad Dog Minis. In this video I'm going to be telling you how I use Microset and Microsol on my miniatures. Now if you're a Space Marine collector, I go so far as to say that you need these products, guys. I'm not even kidding. Space Marine Pauldrons are a nightmare for transfers normally, and these products work really well. So what I do is have my transfers soaking in a little dish off to the side, some shallow kind of water there. And this is going to be an uncut video. I'm going to do 3 in a row, so don't worry about rewinding and pausing, because you're going to get 3 opportunities to see what I do. In fact, if anything, it takes a little bit longer than normal because of the awkward position I'm in front of the camera. So I put a little bit of Microset on first, and be quite liberal with that. A good old coat of Microset, because this is going to help you move the transfer around on the shoulder pad. That's the blue one, by the way, Microset. So get that on there, good layer of that. Get the transfer ready. I actually just handle my transfers directly with my fingers, but I mean, you could use a little bit of a pair of pliers or, what are they called, tweezers to handle the transfer. But here we just brush the transfer off of the backing paper and onto the pauldron. All right, now we're going to move that around until we're happy. This is the bit that I could have muffed up because I'm in a really awkward position here in front of the camera. I'm standing up and crouched over slightly, and yeah, it's a bit of a nightmare, but this will take you, I think, less time. But do make sure you're happy with the position of the transfer. You can always apply a little bit more of Microset at this stage, once again the blue one, if it dries out too much, which is exactly what I do, I think, in a second, because I take too long to get it into position. So a little bit more Microset, and that kind of will help you just move it around and keep the thing mobile. Yeah, get it right, get it, be happy with the position, because the whole idea of putting transfers on is that they are eye-catching, they will draw attention. You don't want a wonky transfer here, guys. So get it right, take your time and do a nice job with it. I usually use a little craft knife to move the transfer, the decal around, but you could use a toothpick or just something similar. You need something with a little bit of a point to it, just so it can get a little bit of grip on. Don't press too hard, of course, because you gouge your paintwork underneath. But once you've got that in a position that you're happy with, then you're going to take a small little bit of tissue and kind of roll across it. So you're pressing quite firmly and rolling across it to try to iron out any little creases that there may be in, and just get the thing nice and flat. So press and roll, press and roll. All right, you can use a little Q-tip alternatively for this if you wanted. Now what I tend to do then is actually put a bit of Microsol, which is the red one, over the top, and I actually give it another roll out, so a second roll. And not everyone does that, but I actually find that to be quite good at just getting the thing adhered, because Microsol works a lot more quickly than I think most guys would think. It's a softener and it gets to work immediately. So another little press and roll can pay dividends here. So there you go. And then I put another layer of Microsol, again the red one, on and let it dry. All right, so it's Microset, apply transfer, roll it down, Microsol, another roll, and then a final layer of Microsol. We're going to repeat the whole process. Do make sure that you have some water and a bit of tissue so you can clean your brush in between using the 2 products, because they are a bit different, and you don't want to contaminate them. So once again here, a nice layer of Microset, which is the blue one. Quite liberal with that. A lot of that goes on there. And then we get the transfer. We just brush that onto the shoulder pauldron. There we are. Take your time with that. Get it, get it in the best position you can, and then position it. Fine tweak with the little craft knife or whatever tool you're using. Don't do it with your finger because it'll stick to your finger. Just use something pointed just to get the position right. Sorry about the camera angles here, guys. I'm in a really awkward bent over position, so I do apologise for the camera work. Make sure you're happy with it. Get a nice position and a little bit of a press and a roll with that little bit of offcut tissue. All right, and there we are. Wash your brush. All right, then we have Microsol, which is the red one, and that goes over the top, and we have another little press and roll out. There we are. Okay, just get all those little creases out, and a final layer of Microsol over the top, and just let it dry. So you don't wipe the final layer off. There you go, because I've got some of my brush still there. Look. So on we go, and he goes off to dry. So on to the final one. Microset. There we are. Good, nice and liberal. Get that on there. Remember, you need to be quite liberal with that because that's going to help you mobilize the transfer. Get the transfer on. Pick up the transfer on the backing paper always, because if you try and get the transfer alone, it'll just curl up and you'll kill the transfer basically. So make sure you pick up the backing paper and then slide it off that onto the Mini. Here we do the fine tuning with the craft knife, just getting in a nice position. Incidentally, this is the heavy support icon from the Ultramarines transfer set. I use it as an upside down version, just a V for my Vanguard forces. So it's a nice use of a transfer that you otherwise might not use. So yeah, a bit of fine tweaking here. Once we're happy, we're going to have a little bit of a press and roll with the tissue again. I say do get it right, because transfers definitely draw the eye, and you know, even if like me, I mean, I don't remove mold lines necessarily, you know, I'm one of those, but I do try and get my transfers as good as I can, because you know that they're going to get attention. People look at them. Here we got a bit of Microsol over the top, the red one. Okay, that goes over the top. We have another little press and roll. So that second press and roll, I guess that's my input on it. That second little bit of pressing and rolling with the Microsol on there, I guess is my little quirk. But I find that to be really helpful in just getting that thing to stick down and to get all the creases out. Final layer of Microsol on and let it dry. I've got one here that has already dried. As you can see, there's a slight sheen, and that's normal. Transfers have a slight sheen. You can use a little bit of matte medium to dull that down. Alternatively, if you're like me and you use washes all over your Minis, I use Nuln Oil in abundance. That does the job anyway. So that's just with Nuln Oil, and that's dulled it right down to a nice matte finish. So there you go. If you've liked the content, guys, if you enjoyed it, please consider hitting the like button. And you know, maybe share the video with someone who likes this sort of thing, or certainly consider subscribing if you enjoyed it. Thanks guys, cheers.